It was Texas, it was Tennessee. It was what I had coming to me.
Howdy, folks. Welcome in. You have arrived at the Texas to Tennessee podcast. My name is Steve. Up above, that's Dr. Gravy.
Howdy.
Good to see you, sir.
Yes, sir. It seems like it's
And
been a while.
It has. But we're going to get massive doses of
That's right.
of each other over the next few hours. So
That's right.
very excited tonight. Want to welcome in Joe Stamm from the Joe Stamm Band. Welcome in, sir.
Well, thanks. Thanks.
How you
Good to be
doing?
here. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm just hanging out in my office and talking to you guys, meeting you guys. So
Yeah. Mhm.
so
Very
far,
excited. Yeah.
so far it's been very pleasant.
Fantastic. We are thrilled to have
Only
you.
downhill from here.
Yeah, it definitely is going downhill. I can already tell you. We appreciate you taking time to meet with us. As we kind of said earlier, this isn't very interesting when Soul Gravy and I do it just by ourselves. So we're thrilled to have you.
All right. Good to be here.
If you don't mind, Joe, could you take just a couple minutes and give us just a little bit of your backstory, and then we'll get into some.
Oh yeah. Okay. That was my cue. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Sir. I obviously don't
It's okay.
follow instructions very well. But my name is Joe Stamm. Like you mentioned, I'm from Central Illinois. Specifically, grew up in a little town called Metamora, just east of Peoria, where they make the big yellow tractors. And got into music, I guess, 20 years ago now, when sports weren't an option, and eventually started playing shows. Eventually started playing more shows, eventually quit a job, and all of a sudden now I've got hand tattoos, and I don't know if I'm employable in any other way, so I'm stuck playing music. So I write songs, I record songs, I put songs out there, which we're gonna be doing here soon, and then we play a bunch of shows. So that's kind of the long and the short of it, without a whole lot of details, which I'm sure you guys are experts at pulling out of me over the course of the next hour or so.
We will find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the hand tattoos because it's like insurance for you, right?
Yeah, well, I guess it just kind of forces me into a corner, that I guess like I'm not going to do anything respectable the rest of my life.
No, I think that is a way to go all in. So shout out to you. So
Yeah.
all right, Soul Gravy, this is your favorite part of the show, and I
All
know
right.
based upon the viewers, this is also one of their favorite parts of the show. So, Joe, what we do in this section is we actually quiz Soul Gravy on famous folks from your hometown.
Okay.
So,
Did
tell
you
a
pick
little bit-
did you my like homegrown hometown, or did you expand it out to like the closest big city of Peoria?
No,
Or is
it's
that
your
part of the
it's your-
mystery?
It's your homegrown town. So
Really?
it took me a little research actually
I was gonna say, I'm not sure if I'll be able to figure out.
find it. But I knew, well, in all fairness, so I've seen you a couple times live, and so I knew a little bit about you.
Okay.
And then, well, we'll get into how we
Yeah.
figured that out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, the town is Metamora. I think as Joe described, it's just a little bit east of Peoria, in Woodford County, Illinois.
Mhm.
Population of about 3,500. Does that sound about right?
No, it was about 2,500 when I was growing up. They're about up to about 4,500 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So getting
Little bit.
swallowed up by the big city.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
All right. Cool. All right. So formerly known as Hanover, Illinois. Always
Okay.
fun to know what it used to be, but became Metamora, actually based on a play. So we can go into more detail on that, but we won't.
More history than I knew about it.
Yeah, well, there we go. All right, first off, Soul Gravy.
Mhm.
This one, I think you have a chance at.
Okay.
Adlai Stevenson.
Yeah, I don't think I'm familiar.
Okay. Adlai was the 23rd Vice President of the United States. He
Yeah, I
was,
didn't have a chance at that one.
yeah, Vice President for Grover Cleveland from 1893 to 1897.
What?
Yeah, not a chance on that.
All right,
So,
fair enough.
it's worse
Second,
from here.
Yeah, 0 for 1.
Okay.
Second one, Greg Volz.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um,
VOLZ.
Vols. Oh, okay. Never mind. No, not familiar.
Kind of a kind of a great name for a lead singer, which he
Yeah,
was for a
yeah.
band called Petra, which is a Christian
Okay.
rock band.
Like the
Gotcha.
original Christian rock band.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
yeah.
So,
I know his brother well, and his mom, or he went to school with my mom.
oh, how
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah,
It always ends
Yeah,
up
yeah.
better when we
That's the
have
good
some
thing
sort
about
of
the small
connection.
town part.
Yeah, for sure.
Bad for me, good for conversation.
Correct. So, Gravy, you're catching on. All right. Elizabeth Farrow. This one's going to be a little tougher.
A little tougher. I'm guessing she was not the vice president, so
She
I'm not
no
familiar.
no
No.
she was a pitcher for the Rockford Peaches.
Okay.
Do you
I've
remember
seen the
that
movie.
Tom Hanks movie? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Anyway, she got absolutely shelled, by the way, in her career. Her career stats were absolutely brutal, but she had a short career, but she used to pitch for the Rockford Peaches. So shout out to Elizabeth.
I got you.
Spent more time on that than I wished, but all right, this one is going
I,
to be
I
our
wasn't
last.
familiar. I didn't know that the Rockford Peaches was actually like a real thing. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
at least
that
learned
was
that part.
based on a true story.
There's
I
no
don't think
crying in Talbot's history questions,
that's right.
trivia.
That's
No
right.
crying in trivia.
All right, this last one, I feel pretty confident that
Okay.
Mr. Stamm knows. This one's going to be also difficult for you, Bert.
Okay. All right.
Soul Gravy. His name is Brad Herman.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Herman. I'm not familiar.
Sorry, Herman.
Uh, Brad was a tight end at the University of Iowa. Had a short stint with the Patriots.
Okay.
So, and I think might have been in school about the same time you were,
He
a
was.
little before you.
I think, yeah, he was probably an incoming freshman shortly after I left.
Oh, okay.
I think he was like in the 2000. I think he graduated in like 2008ish or something. So he would have
Okay.
been a couple terms past me.
Great.
But yeah, that was back when we still had a powerhouse football program.
Well, that is
You had me nervous on that first one. I was like, man, he must have looked up a different Metamora. I don't even
oh
know
yeah,
who this supposed vice president is, but
yeah,
uh,
yeah. The 23rd vice president. So
23rd.
yeah, I think there's a famous, at least from what I read today, there is either like a civic building that might be named after him, something in town that is similar to
Man,
that.
I have no idea. We have a courthouse there and a statue of Abraham Lincoln because United States that claim fame via Abraham Lincoln. So I guess he practiced law there. So maybe this Mr. Stevenson fellow has just been living in the shadow of Abraham Lincoln's brief stint
Yeah, could very well
in
be.
Metamora for all this
Well,
time.
Yeah.
this is always a fun part for us. So thanks for indulging us and letting us get
Yeah,
to know your hometown a
Yeah.
little bit better.
absolutely, man. Yeah, so Greg X. Bowles' brother, older brother, was one of my very fundamental mentors in this business. We worked for the same monument company when I moved home 15 years ago or so, and Ron Bowles, Greg's older brother, was actually in a band called the Swingin' Lads and then the Rockin' R's, and who were on like the Ed Sullivan Show and American
Okay.
Bandstand and some stuff like way back, like in the late
Yeah.
50s and 60s. So he was they had like a top 20 hit, and he toured for like 20 or 30 years. So he kind of had this retirement job. And then I came on at that same company and I was trying to get going. This would have been like in the early 2010s. And so I used to go over to Ron's house all the time, and he had a little home studio, and we'd record stuff, and he mentored me through many years. So Gray X Foles is yeah, that's a close like 7 degrees of bacon thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Okay.
how cool to have somebody who's been down the road a little bit as a mentor right there, like so
Yes.
close to you. Yeah, like
Yeah,
not
he's
everybody gets that.
yeah, he was a great player and great dude.
Cool. All right. Well, this is the weirdest question we're going to ask you.
Okay.
I think the weirdest question, but it's called the pie question.
All right.
I'm going to hand you a musical pie that gets divided up into 4 sections.
Okay.
Those 4 sections are songwriting, recording, performing, and then everything else that is not one of those 3 things that goes into running your business. So,
Okay. So
um,
I thought we were going to talk about like real pie for a second then, because my mom makes, everybody says this, but like my mom,
Yeah.
makes my grandma's recipe pies, and just like, and my sisters do and everything. So pie is a pretty big deal around this house and my family. But we can, this is a music podcast, I guess. So we can go there.
what's your favorite what kind of pie is your mom's specialize?
Peach.
Peach. All right. Nice.
But, yeah. I mean, my mom specializes in any kind of pie. That's just my personal favorite.
That's your favorite.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not, you don't go down to the store and buy like a can of filling and pour it into a pre-made
thing.
Yeah. There's none of that. It has, so peach only comes around like once a year when you can actually get good, wild peaches. So
Right. Nice.
Anyway.
Good to know.
Gotcha.
All right. So I'm supposed to split up the pie into songwriting, performing, and what was the other one?
Recording, and
Recording.
then the 4th piece is running your business. So
Running my business.
is not essentially directly musical, but also probably takes up some of your time, I would imagine.
So am I supposed to divide it up into what takes up most of my time?
Well,
Is that what you're saying?
the first question is really just where's your gift, or where do you feel like you have the strongest inclination towards one of those sections?
As far as giftedness, I never feel like I'm the person should be asked that question. I feel like that's something that I think the listeners and the fans or the non-fans should answer.
That's fair.
I will say that to me, the most important element is by far the writing element. If we were dividing this pie up into the amount of time I spend, it would be, unfortunately, probably one of the smallest pieces anymore. But it's the most important and the most, it's the piece of the pie that fills up my tank. Some of these other pieces we're talking about drain the tank. So,
Totally get that.
yeah.
But also
so that is,
I would assume is the one thing that if you get wrong, it kind of screws up the other pieces, right?
yeah, for sure. I feel like if you don't have that piece, then yeah, what are you doing?
For sure.
Not that you can't, not that you can't have a great career doing tribute bands or cover bands or doing that kind of thing. It's just not my thing. That doesn't, to keep borrowing from the same analogy, playing other people's songs just doesn't fill up my tank, no matter how good those songs, and no matter how much better those songs might be than my own. It just doesn't do it for me.
Understand. Well, can we talk a little bit about the process in terms of songwriting? Because I know it seems like everybody we talk to has a kind of a little bit different or unique process in terms of getting the songs out.
As far as getting the songs out of the ether, or as far as getting the songs into out into the marketplace?
Out of the ether.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I anymore. It's like I gotta find times in the margins of my schedule to record, and so a lot of the ways that goes is if I'm making an effort to write, it's a matter of going out into the garage and sitting down with some ideas I've either typed into my phone or recorded in voice memos before. If I have time to write and I don't have a song in mind, that's kind of where I'll start. Unless I happen to come up with an idea when I actually have time to sit down and at least sparse a verse or a chorus out on paper. And then I very rarely will sit down and write a whole song. I'm not very industrious like that. I'm a kind of a slow thinker. I'm not very good at, timed trivia, for example. It takes me a little bit to wrap my head around things.
I understand.
Yeah. So it just takes, and it takes me a long time to figure out where I want to go with songs, and I'll fuss over certain lines until they feel just right to me. So for me, it's kind of getting an idea down on paper and getting a melody going, and then being able to sing it to myself enough that if I'm on a jog or if I'm walking my dogs or if I'm in the shower, uh, I'm in a situation where ideas can kind of come to me in those margins of the day. I will say that when I have time, most I will say that when at my most productive is when I have a chance to like go find an Airbnb in rural Wisconsin, for example, and sit there for 3 days. And in those situations, I can bang out. If I run an Airbnb for 3 days, I can usually bang out 4 or 5 songs.
Nice.
Because that's all I'm doing, and that's all I'm doing all day. And I'm waking up doing it. Doing it in the afternoon. I'm end up writing long after I tell myself, all right, you've done enough today. I'll pick up a guitar out of boredom because I tend to get places where there's not TVs and things like that. And so, but it's hard to do that anymore. I got a 20-month-old in the other room. We're traveling a lot more and farther. So kind of those weeks where, we have the opportunity to go on vacation, quote unquote vacation, to do a self-imposed writing retreat. Those opportunities are few and far between. And when they are there, it's like, man, I don't want to travel. I would like to be home for a little bit. So
Yeah, totally makes sense. I guess a couple follow-up questions to that. Are you solo? I mean, do you share your songwriting with other folks in terms of co-writing and that kind of deal, or you kind of like to do your own thing?
99% of the songs I have written just by myself. And that's not because I wouldn't write with other people. It's just that, I've stayed in Central Illinois. I've never went to like a music hub like in Austin or Nashville. I've never spent extensive times in those types of communities. So I've never just really plugged in, and really to do this, I started just going out and playing shows before I knew I wasn't any good. Like when I was just learning how to play guitar, I'd go out there and ignorance is bliss. Unfortunately, nobody in my life has ever just kicked me down and said, you suck. You don't need to do this, which gave me the opportunity over the years to just keep doing it, and so, but as part of that, there was never a time where I was just kind of in an incubation period of being around a bunch of other writers and learning how to write. I just kind of been doing it by myself, and since I took an interest. Now that said, I have written a couple with Charles Wesley Godwin over the last couple of years. He's became a buddy of mine, and we've just kind of done it over text messages. It usually takes us a couple of months to get them done. And I've tried that with a couple other people to no effect. But yeah, by and large, I'm just writing by myself.
That makes sense. Well, it sounds like you chose a good partner there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he knows
okay.
he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing clearly.
For sure.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memories of the pandemic. So kind of right in the middle of it, Soul Gravy. I don't know if I've told you this, but I got to I went to go see Ward Davis. He was playing in Dallas, and it was kind of one of those shows that wasn't supposed to be a show thing. And Charles opened, and so I got a. I mean, it was a small group of people. Anyway,
Yeah.
I got to see Charles. Obviously, got to see Ward. And about 2 songs into Ward's set, Cody Jinks walked in and played for like 3 hours with Ward, trading songs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was. I mean, was very, very cool. I've seen Charles a couple times since, but yeah, we kind of joke about what a cool. He specifically came to Texas because it was the only place where he could play music.
Yeah,
during that time.
Charles is one of probably my favorite guy that's doing it right now. I just think the Allegheny High, that band he runs around with, and he's so talented. Al, his producer, guitar player, is just, I think, a genius. And then Charles writes great songs and sings so pretty. They're just a great live band too. They really hit on all cylinders for me. I love their records and everything these guys are doing.
One additional follow-up question, then Soul Gravy, I'll let you come up with the good questions. Actually curious, when you kind of alluded to this, but when when the thought strikes you, does it seem to always hit at like the most inappropriate time in terms of getting the music out?
Not really. There doesn't seem to be a pattern one way or the other.
Okay.
For that,
Do your family members recognize it when it's happening, or can you kind of keep it poker faced?
I'm pretty self-conscious about that. So I'll like if I have an idea, like I'll go to where I feel like I'm out of earshot and like record it in my voice memos, because it's a vulnerable feeling,
Yeah, for sure.
And I try to write out of earshot too, just because you're trying to get something out into paper, and it's going to be very different by the time you're done than what it is right now. And so I'm trying to avoid the indifference or the scoffing of people around me. So I'm pretty self-conscious and private about doing that kind of thing.
Cool.
Well, we've had a lot of people on that. You just brought up a couple different things. We've had a lot of people on where the COVID stuff, or that break in 2020 kind of affected people's careers one way or the other. A lot of them, it kind of jump started them because they decided, well, if I can't do my normal job anymore, I'm going to start doing what I want to do and whatever. Well, in your situation, how did that affect? Because I was kind of looking, you were a couple years in as far as albums were concerned.
Yeah.
How did that affect your career in any kind of way, significantly?
Not dramatically. I had quit my job 3.5 years prior than that, so I was into the supporting myself this way. I learned, we got through it fine. The biggest impact was I wrote Goodbye John. A few weeks into that, and it was by no means some kind of seismic shift in my career, but it is one of the few times where I felt like I wrote something that people really resonated with and kind of hopped on board, with our fan base and what we're doing. And people still, to this day will walk up to me and say that's how they found me or whatever, with that song. But we just, man, we were hitting it really hard back then, just playing dive bars, and playing, I think, and just still doing 3 or 4 hour, sets where 50% of them, 60% of them were cover songs. So it was, it was I hate to say this, but it was bittersweet in a sense. It was bitter, of course, because I would never wish that upon the world,
right? Or
anybody. But it was nice in that, man, we got like 3 months to not feel bad about staying home. And, that was back before our daughter. It was just me and my wife and our dog and cat. And I got a couple acres out here in the middle of nowhere where we just got to hang out. I remember when that first announcement went, I went to Walmart and I filled up an entire cart full of Busch Light because I didn't know when the next time I was going to be able to go buy any beer. So we were set there, man. A couple of weeks, it was kind of nice. But we did a crowd fund. The one thing that a skill, I guess, or an approach that kind of translated we had just finished up a record, and I had just the mixes had just been approved, and I had those. So I had to figure out, with an indefinite amount of period coming up, how I was going to pay for the rest of that record, to produce the albums and all that stuff. And so we come up with the idea to crowdfund the rest of it. And man, people jumped on board and we blew through our goals and we did it in such a way, not where people were just donating money, but where we actually pre-sold the record and pre-sold shirts and all that stuff. And so we still do that. I mean, this record we got coming out in July, it's not really a crowdfund in a sense, it is, but it's like it gives people the opportunity to pre-order limited edition stuff and pre-order the record and pre-order these packages that we don't offer at any other time. And it helps us kind of with those sales, that gets us across the finish line with post-production and ordering the vinyls and all that stuff. So that was kind of, I guess, a skill or an approach that we learned during that period. But that's really about it. Other than that, we went into COVID grinding and we came out of it grinding and we're still grinding.
So I'm curious, what are some covers that the Joe Stamm Band would have been playing at that point in time?
Oh, let's see. Well, I know one was Dixieland Delight, because shortly thereafter that summer we were playing this place up in southern Wisconsin, and it was just a horrible gig, man. The stage was on a dock. There's like a dock on the river that faces the this little hill, and on the top of it there's a restaurant, which just sounds so nice, right? Well, how clever. Well, it was just a bad night. It was hot. Our equipment wasn't working. It was like a deal where they made you play for 2 hours before you could even take a break. And then you got 20 minutes. Then you had to play 2 more sets. And nobody gave a shit that we were there. You know, it's a bunch of college kids that staff the place. Nobody that hired you is on site. So it's just a profound level of indifference all the way around. And I remember I swallowed 2 mayflies because, of course, when it gets dark and all the stage lights, you're on a body of water.
Right.
So it was just infested with bugs and mayflies. And I remember I was singing Dixieland Delight and looking out over this, a sparsely populated lawn of people in lawn chairs, not giving a damn what we were doing. And I got off, finished the song. I said, we're not going to play another cover for the rest of the night. And we didn't. And then that really changed our whole business model. From there, we stopped doing it, went down to 90-minute, 2-hour shows. And for a while, I think, we were doing maybe still, a handful of covers. But that was really the end. So, Alabama, Travis Tritt, the one cover song we still do, it's the only one ever, is The Hammer Going Down by Chris Knight. But we recorded that. So it's kind of doesn't really count.
You're going to be out on tour with him, right?
Yeah.
You got a couple dates with him?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of playing a lot of shows with Chris over the years. And we're doing 2 of them, I think in Columbia, Missouri, and Aurora here at the beginning of July. So it'd be good to see, well, I say good to see him again. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we don't.
We understand. We understand.
If there's no in between, it's like either we don't exchange a single word, or the venue has to kick us out of the green room at the end of the night. It just kind of depends on what the night's like.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
So
But I'm good friends with his TM Jason, so it's always good to be out with those guys.
Before we get up to halftime, what I guess if you kind of had to have a pivotal point as far as when you started really feeling like you were getting some momentum behind you, is it the Goodbye John that kind of you felt like you were starting to get some momentum and things started to rolling, or was it something else?
I'll let you know when that moment occurs.
Okay. Understand. Well, to be fair, I see your name pop up a lot on my social media with
great.
some of the friends that I've made through the podcast and music in general. Your name comes up quite a bit. So
well, that's great to hear. In all seriousness, it's one of those things. I've used this illustration a lot before, and if you look back at pictures of yourself and you've gained weight over the last year, you don't necessarily see it. At a picture from a couple of years ago, and I'm like, damn, I've put on some weight. That's kind of. I think when I look back at our tour posters from a few years ago, or I look back at some old set lists from a few years ago, like, man, we were still playing that song, back then. We were still playing place. It's kind of been a lot of that. So I get to look around these days and see some friends and some opportunities. And, this new record we got coming out, Al Torrance produced, the guy we were talking about that produces Charles Wesley Godwin's. And, those guys have become friends, and we've got to collaborate. And so I look around at stuff like that, and it means a whole lot to me. But yeah, it's more of a war of attrition at sometimes. And you kind of got to look back at where you've been to realize, that you're doing all right.
Makes complete sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, I know it's feels like you've been here 3 hours, but it's been 30 minutes, and we are at halftime.
All right.
So if you wouldn't mind taking a couple minutes and telling us about the song that Soul Gravy is going to play for us.
Yeah, I think you guys are playing Territory Town. So I've been
Mm-hmm.
talking about this record that we got coming out. This was the first single that we released, pre-released, because that's, I guess, what you do these days. And I was last year or year and a half ago, I was at a buddy's retirement party who's much older than me, of course. And we were leaving town in the weeknight in this little town in Illinois. And there was a kid on a skateboard smoking a cigarette. And I told my wife, I said, well, there's a kid living life on the edge of a dull knife. And that was one of those moments where it was like, oh, that's a, so I got him a little voice memo and I set it into the phone. And then later I worked on it, for a couple months. It's really just that. And it's it's snapshots of my own, high school career, things I experienced, things I heard about, things I imagined. And I put it into a song about summertime, and that's what the, I guess that's what the song's background is, or how it came about.
Nice. Well, we will go silent Soul Gravy so we can get a good listen.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Told your daddy you'd be back by 10, but it's 11:15 and you ain't back yet. Sitting at the top of the playground slide, sucking on the bottom of a Marlboro light, living life on the edge of a door knife in a territory town on a Tuesday night. Catching all summers through the windows down over Goodyear Road, blacktop straight away east of town to the pump jack, sucking at the red dirt ground. Bottle of vodka and some Keystone Light. Boy, Riley said he'd set her
So I've been listening to that one quite a bit.
Well, good.
Since you released that one. Um, it it gives me, I mean, not exact, just the way that you describe the situation and the town and all that. It's like a Springsteen feel to it, if that makes sense. I don't know why.
Oh, what feel? I'm sorry, you cut out there.
Like it's, I don't know if it might be a bad thing depending on who you're talking to, but like a Springsteen kind of thing, as far as just the way it's describing the area and the town and all that. You know, he did that a lot.
I don't
And
think.
a lot.
I mean, I don't know who in the world would take that as a insult.
Well, you never know these days.
I'm not. I'm not a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, but you can't. You know, obviously, what as much of an iconic songwriter as there is been in popular culture in the last, who knows how many decades. So yeah, that's a huge compliment.
Well, he was really good as far as just describing those moments, as far as a car going down the road or whatever the case would be. And there were certain lines of that song that I don't know why it just.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll take it as a compliment.
Hell yeah.
Well, it was meant that way. All right, now, Steve, give him the insult.
All right.
Give me the indifference.
So here's the deal. Soul Gravy told me when I joined this podcast that I'd get to talk about sports. And I never get to talk about sports. So I am very excited to get
Besides on the trivia.
Yeah, well, that doesn't even really count.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Rockford Peaches.
Yeah. So saw the Illinois shorts.
Oh yeah.
Big Illinois fan, I assume.
Not really. So
Oh.
they were.
That went well.
I like to see them win. I guess they they were recruiting me really heavily, and I went down to one of their football camps there, and I got tendonitis in my elbow, and they dropped me like a bad habit as soon as that happened, and so that always just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I actually root for Iowa a little bit more, and I ended up going to Northern Illinois University, but when you're, it's not like they're ever really in the playoff picture very often. So I tend to root for Iowa. I tend to root for Illinois basketball and Iowa basket. I'm not like a diehard college sports fan. So I'm a diehard Steelers fan. I'm a diehard Cubs fan. I'm a diehard Penguins fan. But college is like kind of like I like to see a lot of different teams win, mainly Midwestern teams.
Yeah, all right.
So that's kind of where I land with college sports, anyways.
Well, I do know. I think I heard you did you have an incident on the basketball court?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, how's that going?
Well, it's okay. It's okay. I'm more or less recovered. I still don't have all the muscle back in my right calf yet, but I think some of that's I don't have a team of athletic trainers kind of getting me back to 100%.
Guys in the band aren't volunteering for massage time?
No, and I've found like I hadn't been seriously injured since I was in college athletics, so I didn't realize how much like just the humdrum sports or physical training people try to just get the general public in and out of their system. Like, all right, you can walk, get out of here.
Right.
It's like, man, what are you talking about? I used to have to check in with the trainer and like nobody cares when you're just a normal person. So but yeah, I decided I wanted to play pickup basketball again, and I had been wanting to for years. And I played 3 times and then blew out an Achilles last year. So
yeah, that's got to put a little bit of a wrinkle into the old touring schedule, I'm assuming.
It did. We had 2 shows coming up with Charles Wesley Godwin when that happened, and there was like 3 weeks out from when I injured it. And normally they want to get you into surgery within 2 to 3 weeks, but the doctor did let me delay it. So I was able to get those in. I had one of them scooters, those knee scooters, and fortunately they have a parking brake on those things. Mm-hmm. So I just wheeled it up to the microphone and had somebody hand me my guitar and put it in park. And that's how I did my sets. And then I had to take a few weeks off after surgery. So I missed, I think, about 11 or 12 shows last spring. Should have probably missed more. It was miserable getting back out there on the road. We took a we took one of the seats out of the van and put like a mattress in the back of the van. So I'm like bouncing around the back of this shitty passenger van all the way to Texas and back. It's 100 degrees wheeling around. It was, it was something. So I've retired from pickup basketball officially.
Well, I'm glad you're doing better. It's no fun.
It wasn't
for
fun.
sure. I've had the advantage. So I've seen you at two very different venues.
Okay.
I was lucky enough to see you Highway 30 and Texas Motor Speedway, and then we went from one of the largest venues to one of the smallest at the Mercury Lounge.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So, but for somebody who hasn't maybe seen your live show, hadn't had the chance yet, how would you describe it, or how would you kind of describe the vibe of your show?
Straight, it's pretty straightforward. There's the live show and the records. I tend to write a lot of lyrically driven, mid-tempo, thoughtful things. We pretty much pull out every fast tempo rock and roll song we do and put it into our live show.
Right.
So it's like if you come see me play a solo show, it's going to be a very different show than if you see my full band. I mean, some of that is even the same songs. I joke at my solo shows. I say, or when people ask me what kind of music I play, I say, well, if I'm by myself, I play Americana, and if I'm with my band, I play country rock. And
There you go.
that's, so it's heavy. We do a 4-piece, and we try to move it along and try to kind of do the roller coaster of different song choices and kind of bring you down and then build you back up and get her rolling again and try to do all that kind of stuff. But again, I feel like it's always hard. It's always weird to review my own performances.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I feel like it's one of those things too, where maybe bring on one of our fans or one of our haters and ask them.
Well, Matt Westerman is in
Matt's
the chat. We can bring Matt on.
He'd love to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So rough estimate. Maybe take out the 11 shows that were missed, but what would be a general number that you shoot for in terms of live shows a year?
I like to do about 10 or 12 a month, and I always take December and January off. So
okay.
We tend to be in that 100 to 120 range. I feel like that's a good window for me to be in. Although I haven't actually sat and counted, in many years. But I do, if I look at my schedule and we've got anywhere from 10 to 12 shows, for my active months, then I know we're making our bread. Yeah.
And then just a follow up. At what point did you start to expand out of the, central Illinois area? Because I've just seen you pop up in more places that have kind of expanded out across the country. So that obviously was a conscious effort.
Yeah, but it was very incremental. I remember when I first started, it was like, all right, we want to play in this town, and then we got to find a bar that'll have us 20 minutes over here in this town and then 20 minutes in that direction. And that was, back in 2013. And or Iowa City or, and just kind of grew an hour to an hour or two. And we just, and we're kind of still doing that. It's still kind of, seeing, all right, well, this is that much farther than we've done. I think we've already are good. And we're got to leave tomorrow at 8 a.m. to get to Idaho by Thursday. It's Tuesday right now, if you're listening to this later. So it just, that circle just keeps growing. It was never like hey, we need to get 5 hours away, or we need to get such and such. It's just kind of been like, all right, where is it go? I want to play in California. Well, is anybody in California going to know you and show up if you play there?
Right.
you can
First time.
you can convince the place to book you once, but
Right.
if nobody comes, then you ain't going to be able to do it twice. So it's a matter of sustainability too.
Any tips or tricks that you would be willing to share, maybe with newer artists that are exploring going to those first time shows?
Yeah, be realistic with yourself, with the people you're trying to get hire you. Like I said, I mean, don't just say, man, I want to play Texas, and then just go. Unless there's unless it's a festival, unless you're opening for somebody else, unless you're going to a place where there's going to be some people to watch what you're doing. But just you're just like looking at a map and saying, I want to go play Texas, so I'm going to find some bar in some town that I can convince that I'm good enough to play there. And you show up and you're either doing a door deal and nobody comes because nobody knows in the world who you are. So you don't make any money. You spend all the money to get there, or you've managed to negotiate some guarantee that bar is going to be pissed off when they're paying you at the end of the night because they realized that nobody knew who they were, in fact, and so nobody came, and so they didn't sell any beer or no food or nothing like that or no tickets. Right. So I would just say, be realistic and then be ready to take advantage of any opportunities that do come along. If somebody wants you to open for them, or you convince somebody, to get to open for them, or if you get onto a festival where you're going to be in front of people. So that's been my model. There's a lot of people that just go out there and hit the road and don't care, but that's just been the way that we've done it, that we had to start doing it because I used to have a job when I started this, so you couldn't throw caution to the wind.
Sure.
And that's kind of just the way we've built it, and are still trying to build it.
Good answer. Well, it's admire what you're doing.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Speaking of festivals, you've got I saw Unbroken was on your list.
Yep.
Peacemaker was on your list.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I believe North Springs Music Festival was on your list. I'll see you there at that one.
Awesome.
Along with a lot of the rest of y'all's crew with Mountain View. So.
North Springs. Yeah, we got North Springs on one night, and then we got Peacemaker 11 hours away the next day. So I don't know how much we're going to be able to stick around and party after our set, but it'll be good to get down there. I've heard Dustin puts on a hell of an event, so we're looking forward to that.
Yep, that's actually the opposite of what Taylor Honeycutt's crew did last year. I remember them talking about that. They played Peacemaker the night before, then and drove in.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and they made Josh
in the
drive
same
the whole
weekend.
way.
I wish it wasn't in the same weekend, but
I don't know, and it never used to be, but we were at that last July Peacemaker Fest, and it was like 110 degrees, man, with no wind, and I think I lost. I don't have 10 pounds to lose, but I think I lost it that day. It was brutal. So they moved it, and it was a whole lot nicer last year in October. So, but yeah, unfortunately, there's just always
so many dates in October in the fall before things get nasty. Yeah.
Right.
Completely understand. I would like to talk about the Texas effect as far as that community between Texas, Oklahoma, all of that. You're in Central Illinois, but then clearly you have some folks in that market, in that vein of music that support you. Kind of how long has that been going on for you, and how did you get to that point?
Man, I don't know, and I'm not sure we have. Last time we played Texas, we got kicked out of Texas for not playing enough cover songs. So we got emailed the next day. I was like, we recommend you play 30% cover songs. And but anyways, I don't know that we have found that, honestly, down there. That's still very much a developing area for us. We're not going down there and selling hundreds of tickets. I can tell you that. I'd love to tell you that we were, but it's been a little hit and miss for us. And every time we go down there are people who show up who know the music and love the music. There just aren't necessarily a lot of them. Makes sense. So we've been trying. It's kind of one of those things where I've had to tell my booking agent, really, it's like, don't just take my own advice from the last segment where we were talking.
Understood.
It's like,
Right. Yeah.
don't get this idea
Just
that you
focus,
have to
focus.
be in order to
Right.
be successful, you've got to play Texas. It's just another place, another with great people and great music fans, but there's also a lot of competition down there. There's a lot of people that are playing great music down there, and if they don't know who you are, they're not going to show up any more than anywhere else.
That's what I
So
was going to say. There's a lot of people that are in Texas that are saying the same thing that you're saying. So
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Would that, Joe, would that be a situation where your booking guy would try to do maybe like a swap where they, maybe you open for somebody in Texas that has a little bit of momentum going, and then you maybe take them up to, Minnesota or somewhere in
Yeah.
Illinois or wherever? Would that be part of the strategy that you try to?
Yeah, and I think he's tried. I think he's had a lot of those conversations. I think the devil's in the details in terms of actually working. Not only at coordinating schedules with another act, but also figuring out where's all the money. How do where's the money going to come from when you're feeding two acts that are used
Sure.
to, that are kind of at the same level.
Yep.
There's just the devil's in the details and that kind of stuff, and it's absolutely something we do, if the stars aligned. It's something we've had conversations with, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't worked out
Yeah.
so
We
far.
just gotta find the right match, right?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I did see that my buddy Josh Malloy just announced his first show at okay.
Billy Bob's.
Billy Bob's, yeah.
Yep,
The
yep.
name escaped me. And so I immediately texted him and said, "Hey man, do you need like
Free.
you need I didn't say free, but I said, hey, you need some support for this, because I can, I know how much, I worry about those guys on the road, and I know they need emotional support wherever they go."
Absolutely.
And he said he would look into it ASAP. But we all know what that means. I'm never going to hear about it again.
For sure.
he said new phone. Who's this?
Yeah. He's
Um,
definitely pulled that one on me before.
so I want to make sure we talk about some of these venues that I've seen you that you're going to be at. As far as I know, you probably played Duke's and just these venues that support independent music. What do those folks and those businesses mean to you and artists like you?
Well, a lot, because I mean, like I said, it's hard to just point at a place on a map and show up. If nobody's there for seed, so to speak, nobody's there to catch the show and then go tell people and bring more people the next time, then it's kind of like, man, we're beating our heads against a wall. I don't know. We've had some markets that are like that where we've went, and it's just like, man, enough's enough. Unless something changes, we got to stop. So when you go to you go to a place like Bucks in Nebraska, there's a built-in audience there, or at least sometimes there is. I know not always, and it doesn't always work out like that for any of these places that are kind of known to bring in smaller time original acts. But we were fortunate enough that when first time we played there, we did have probably 30 people. And then now we've sold out the last 5 times. And it just kind of speeds the process up in a market. If you're going into a place and you don't have the opportunity to open somebody, or it's not some festival where a bunch of the community is going to be there, then those venues where the communities have come to trust them enough to say, maybe we'll go try this artist even if we haven't heard from them, because if they weren't any good, then such and such wouldn't have brought them in. So those places are great to get out there and just get in front of people that might like your music, versus going to any old place where you don't know what kind of audience you're going to in front of, if any.
That's true.
We ready for a little rapid fire? I want to get Mr. Stamm out of here on the agreed to time. So, Joe, these are should be relatively easy questions.
All right.
We'll see how it goes. What's
All
an
right.
album that you've purchased more than once?
Pretty Good Guy by Chris Knight.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just became best friends.
Yeah. All right, dinner with one historical figure. It can be dead or alive.
Waylon Jennings.
Nice.
Okay.
Heard he's got some new music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking
Or
forward
Ricky
to that.
Henderson. Waylon Jennings or Ricky Henderson.
Ricky would be wildly entertaining.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You are
Just-
meaning the Oakland A's.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Just
Yeah,
making
greatest
sure.
leadoff hitter of all time. You bet.
Yep. All right. Next question is: what does your ideal green room look like?
Okay, it's got a bathroom. It's got a refrigerator full of, or actually, it's got a cooler full of iced down Busch Light
Nice.
and maybe some Waterloo sparkling waters. And it's got clean couches, clean towels, and it looks like somebody has actually cleaned it within the last, few days. And the temperature is like comfortable room temperature. I feel like in a lot of venues, even if they've got a space for you, that's like they're heating this big venue, or they're cooling this big venue. So it's like, you know what? We can save a few bucks and shut the HVAC off into the green room.
No. That's an immediate no go.
That's an important one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, since you brought up Busch Light twice now, I need a verdict on Bapples. The Busch apples.
They're okay. I can do about one, and then it gets a little sweet. Like I can't put down a 12-pack of apples. Where on a good day, if I get enough, focused time, I can put down a 12-pack of the regular stuff.
Nice.
Good productive.
Certainly 7 or 8 or 9 of them. Whereas the Busch apple, 1, maybe 2. Maybe if I put that 12-pack down of regular Busch Light the day before, maybe the Busch apple the next day is kind of a gateway beer.
Right.
Back into it. But yeah,
Just to make you feel healthy.
yeah, right.
Well, it's a fruit.
A breakfast
Right,
beer,
right.
maybe. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right. First concert you attended, first concert you paid for, and then the best concert that you've ever been to.
First concert I attended, I believe, was the Newsboys when I was a kid. It was a Christian rock band in like in the 90s.
Okay.
Not sure if that really counts.
No, that counts.
First one I paid for, probably could have been any number of, is probably either Chris Knight, Pat Green, or Reckless Kelly in the early 2000s. Probably would have been. Those are all a blur, and I'm not sure which Reckless, man. Another really bands whose music was really formative for me. That would have been one of those 3. Best show I've ever been to. Man, I've seen some really good shows over the years with just being at all these festivals and getting a chance to open. I think I'm gonna kind of cop out on this one and just say I think the Charles Wesley Godwin shows are as good as I think is going on right now. Recency bias and a little bit out of left field. I was at Railbird Fest a couple weeks ago, and Rustin Kelly's set was really, really good.
Nice.
Really great band. And Ryan Bingham's set was really awesome too. So
Can't go wrong. All right,
yeah,
good
so those are some
answers.
recent ones. Yeah.
All right, 2 more, and then I'll hand you off to Soul Gravy for the
Okay.
incredibly important question.
All right.
Bucket list venue. What's a venue that you haven't played that you would like to play, or it could be even a couple?
Yeah. I feel like Red Rocks is just like the one that anybody says. And so it sounds cliche,
No,
but
Red Rocks.
but man, it's Red Rocks. I mean, who wouldn't just want to do that,
Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess that's it,
Okay, good answer.
Yeah.
And then last question: tribute bands, yay or nay?
I mean, I got nothing against them. I would never. I have no interest in seeing it. I just can't imagine. I mean, you want to start a Chris Knight tribute band? then go. You know,
I'm
I'll I'll be there. I'll be there.
All right.
But, yeah, but I'm not gonna go. You know, yeah, I'm not in line to get front row to the Leonard Skinner experience. You
I
know,
understand.
yeah,
Understand. All right, cool. Well, thank you for speedy answers. And,
yeah.
Well, I got one more.
Okay,
How do you think the Aaron Rodgers experiment is going to go?
oh boy.
man, I do not know how to. I just don't know how to answer that question. And I've
Understood, because it
you
could
think,
completely go
yeah.
any direction.
I feel like I've been answering it for months with a non-answer, and I just still haven't come up with one. I mean, we'll see. I will say this, and I'll say the same thing I said about the Russell Wilson experience at this time last year. It was like, at the very least, it raises the ceiling of possibilities.
Yeah.
You may never get
Well,
anywhere close to what that ceiling could be, but at least it raises the ceiling of possibilities. So,
well, even going back to Green Bay, that's y'all have the most sturdy coach, front office, whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it, thing that
stable.
he's getting
Yeah.
into. You know, it's not all up
yeah,
in the air. Balancing on Aaron Rodgers, they're going to be there no matter what Aaron Rodgers does. So
And the good
right.
thing is he's already
Well,
blown out his Achilles, so you don't have to worry about that happening.
yeah, right. Well, he's got another one. He's
That's
got
true.
two of them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I would, and I would say that if I were to make a prediction, I'd say we're going to be right around that fulcrum of mediocrity once again this year would be my guess, regardless
understood.
of their sense. So we'll see.
All right.
Understood. Not bad enough to get a good draft pick.
Right,
It,
right. Not good
no,
enough to win a playoff game.
understood completely. I've been a Chiefs fan forever, so
Oh
that's
well,
where we were until a few years ago.
yeah.
Um, all right, so this started off as a joke on episode 1, and now it is a requirement. So, Joe, what is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
Man, I don't eat those things.
Good.
Twinkies aren't Little Debbie's.
No.
Those are Hostess,
Mm-mm.
aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We
I,
might have found the Mason Dixon line for
man,
we,
for
you
we,
guys, I feel like I did pretty good, and then you just fire two lame duck questions at me like right at the end that I don't even have
uh,
answers for.
you did
that's
great. You
that's
did
okay.
great.
We figured there's a line that's actually north of the Mason Dixon line, but it starts to fade
It does.
Okay.
at some point. You know,
You can imagine a bunch of the artists that we end up having on the show are
they have no
predominantly
idea.
from Oklahoma, Texas, and
Yeah. And
Tennessee, Georgia,
it's a
whatever.
big deal down there. Little
It is a
Debbie's a big
huge
deal
deal.
down there.
It is a big deal.
I was just trying to think of the most degenerate question I could ask, and that was
That's
one
not
of
even
them. So
close. So agree.
yeah, that was for here. It's pretty good. It's a
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good
Yeah.
question.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
All right.
whenever you come to Tennessee, I'll ask it again.
All right. I'll try to pay closer attention to the gas stations when I walk by that section.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All
it's
right,
a whole
Joe.
new world.
Yeah. Well, make sure you go follow Joe on all of his socials. He's got a new album coming out July 11th,
Yeah.
and a new single coming out. When did you say the new
Friday.
single's coming?
This
coming
Friday, June 20th. Is that this Friday? It's called How to Quit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the record coming out July 11th is called Little Crosses. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, it was good to meet you, and
hey, it's great to
I'll
meet you guys.
see you in the
Thanks for your
hayfield
time.
and
Appreciate it.
at North Springs.
Yeah, sounds good.